Hi, I'm Madeline Cianci.
I'm Ashlyn Moretti.
I'm Mina Kimak.
I'm Savannah Johns.
And I'm Leah Thomas.
We're from the University of Pittsburgh's Environmental Law and Policy class, and today we're going to talk to you about fracking, the revolutionary method of extraction that it is, and the invasive methods behind it.
Yeah, so fracking is a revolutionary movement within the energy and economical standpoints, but it's quite disastrous within the environmental standpoint.
We also see that in these revolutionary methods, there is a huge implication to human health and lifestyle.
It's not a black and white issue, and that's why we want to talk about the communication behind the subject.
And because it's not black and white, we recognize that it may not be feasible to ban fracking outright, so today we want to talk about some other potential policy solutions.
Fracking sites have been developed across the country, and it sparked a lot of discussion.
Fracking.
Fracking. Fracking. Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Fracking. Fracking.
Fracking.
So the process of fracking starts by putting down a concrete well pad, and this can range from anywhere between half an acre to an acre in size. So once the machinery is brought in, the process can begin. And this starts with drilling vertically through the sandstone layer, and then once the sandstone layer has been thoroughly drilled through, they then begin to drill horizontally. And this will be done through the shale bedrock layer, and the reason why they're drilling horizontally is to extract more natural gas from the area. So in order to extract the gas, fracturing takes place. Fracturing occurs by injecting fracking fluid, and fracking fluid contains water, sand, and various chemicals. So this mixture is injected into the shale bedrock and is then creating tiny fractures to allow for the natural gas to be released.
Natural gas extraction in the U.S. began during the pre-Civil War era. So in 1859, Edwin Drake became the first American businessman who successfully drove for oil in what is now known as Oil City, Pennsylvania, located in western PA. Today, George P. Mitchell is known as the father of fracking because his company perfected the method of using sand to open up the fractures that were created. So using this technique in the Barnett Shale of Texas showed to be very lucrative, and Mitchell's company earned more than it had during the previous 5 years of his business. Portions of Texas that Mitchell fracked in experienced a large economic boom. And fracking is now popular in PA because of its large Marcellus shale deposit. So in 2018, Pennsylvania produced 17% of the entirety of the U.S.'s natural gas. And now, today, Pennsylvania has over 325,000 oil and gas wells. Fracking is known to be revolutionary and beneficial for multiple reasons. It has positive impacts on the environment and human beings. For example, fracking has reduced greenhouse gas emissions of carbon dioxide by 3%, which contributes to cleaner and greener energy for human beings. It also is good for the economy. It's created 2.7 million jobs since the beginning of fracking, and that also contributes to the country's energy independence because we don't have to rely on unstable and unreliable countries for our oil and gas.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change.
Climate change is on the verge of becoming irreversible. We only have a couple more years, and this movement of fracking that has globally spread has been seen as a revolution for the economy, but not for the environment. Now, yes, it reduces CO2 emissions, but that's just one pro that is followed by many, many cons. Fracking emits more methane into the atmosphere than any other energy sector that we know. So the reduction of CO2 is a classic trade-off for the increased emission of methane. Methane is 80 times more powerful than CO2 despite its shorter lifespan, but this is causing fracking to play a larger role in climate change and global warming. This continues to happen because there's a lack of regulation and maintenance for these pipes to monitor natural gas leaks. Along with emitting more methane into the atmosphere, fracking also depletes communities' freshwater sources. This is due to fracking utilizing about 2 to 3 million gallons of fresh water for each fracking site. Fracking also contaminates groundwater, freshwater sources, and everyone's drinking water. This continues to happen due to the lack of regulations and policies surrounding fracking and the water usage. Fracking is not covered under the Safe Water Drinking Act nor the Clean Water Drinking Act, so that means the chemicals put into the water do not have to be disclosed with the public. Lastly, the creation of these fracking sites have a very negative impact on our biosphere. The creation of these fracking sites promote deforestation. This leads to the land conversion of these important habitats for wildlife, but also important land for humans. This land conversion then further leads to species displacement or habitat loss. These environments then become more vulnerable to non-native and invasive species, which can negatively impact our environments more, causing more harm. But speaking more on the humans, there are more cons that many people aren't aware of.
For health implications, we see that children are at a heightened risk of developing cancer, and adults are also at a heightened risk of developing cancer. The next section that health implicates when it comes to fracking is a big concern for women who are pregnant, as they are at a higher risk of having pregnancy complications. We also see that people that live near fracking have heightened asthma, heightened mental health issues, as well as more disordered sleep. In addition to these health implications, there is an impact on the housing market from fracking. There can be a decrease in housing value because people are concerned about drinking water being contaminated.
In shaping our understanding on how fracking is held under law, it's important to understand these 5 different laws and acts that fracking is not held to the same regard as other companies are. Underneath the Safe Drinking and Water Act, fracking is exempt from this law unless diesel is used in the fracking process. Under the Clean Water and Clean Air Acts, oil and gas companies are exempt from the requirements to monitor hazardous air pollutants. Under the Resource Conservation Recovery Act, oil and gas waste is exempt from the provisions of the law regarding the control, testing, treatment, and disposal of hazardous waste. Under the National Environmental Policy Act, oil and gas companies are exempt from certain requirements for environmental impact reviews when leasing federal lands. And under the Mineral Policy Act and Federal Land Policy and Management Acts, oil and gas companies may be leased federal lands by this act, and all of the federal lands are governed by a detailed set of statutes.
Some of the solutions that we recommend to curb the invasive method of fracking are increasing setback requirements from 500 feet, which is the current standard, to 1,000 meters away from homes and buildings. We also recommend prioritizing renewable natural gas over regular natural gas. Renewable natural gas is derived from organic waste and is a lot greener and more sustainable than regular natural gas. Although it's not a full replacement, it can help sustain natural gas. We also recommend controlling CH4 leaks, better monitoring systems to reduce the amount of methane that is released into the atmosphere, and using a bottom-up or co-management approach with communities to form policy based on the specific needs of the community and its ecosystem, as opposed to a top-down approach.
If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out.